Okay, folks, this is Udra-Ramaputra's temple. Udra-Ramaputra's temple, folks, it's a mispronunciation of Tetariya. Uddaka Tetariya is Udra-Ramaputtra, folks, and this is the old temple, ancient temple, which the ancestors, these village ancestors prayed to Udra-Ramaputtra. And this is Chirail village, folks, where Udra-Ramaputra got angry and got back his powers. And this is, Chirail village. And just north of it is Budgar meaning very brainy. That is where, Udra-Ramaputra showed his brains. So basically how I came to this conclusion of Udra-Ramaputra, to understand this, you will have to see the entire video.
Now folks, I'm sure you all would like to see Udra-Ramaputra's Sangrama. Well, Udra-Ramaputra is a mispronunciation of Budgar Tetariya. Budgar Tetariya. Now if you read Tsang, I mean in the Buddhist text in Udra-Ramaputra, don't describe him as walking in the air and all. But Tsang describes him as walking in the air and all. So basically it's not Udra-Ramaputra, it is, see, you all are, the Buddhists are infatuated with this word Ramaputra and something Putra and something Putra. Limited vocabulary of Indian words, you know. There are three villages. Actually, three stupas. One is Tetariya, that is your Ramaputra, and Udra is actually Budgar. Budgar means very wise, very wise. So Budgar is mispronounced as Udra. So it is actually Budgar Tetariya, mispronounced as Udra or Uddaka Ramaputra. And just next to these two stupas, which are villages today, is Baijal. Baijal. Now, Udra-Ramaputra, what happened was, the Buddha, see, this place is very important because after his enlightenment, the Buddha first came to Udra-Ramaputra's place to explain his views and what he had been enlightened. But he realized that Udra-Ramaputra had died. So this place is very important because when no one was listening to the Buddha, he had come here to his gurus to tell them about his experience. And then you have, and the second place he went to was to Alala Kalam's Sangrama. That is Alampura Kanhu. So basically Udra-Ramaputra, Huen Tsang tells a story. A king used to, always keep food for Udra-Ramaputra. One day he was going out, so he tells his servant girl, to keep food for him, and when he comes, to look after him very well, just as the king did. So when Udra-Ramaputra comes, he, touches the girl, and he feels the pangs of lust. So he loses his power to walk in the air. To walk in the air, folks. So that is Baijal. Baijal means he broke out of his jal, he broke out of his net. The net that controlled his lust, his desires. And he, had sinful thoughts for that girl. So after that, no matter how much he tried to meditate, he couldn't control himself. So basically he gives a very good way of coming out of this, because generally he used to walk in the air. So he tells the girl that this time he won't walk in the air, because he shouldn't keep himself to himself. When people wanted to have his, darshan, to pay homage to him, he should allow himself to go. So this time he'll go walking out. So this girl went out and told everyone, and the whole area, they washed the ground, they, purified the ground to watch him walking past. So that was Budgar. Budgar means he had brains. So that is Budgar Tetariya. Understand? Tetariya means a person walking in the air. A person walking in the air. Tairna, flying in the air. So that is your Ramaputra. And Budgar. So the place where he sinned is Baijal. And the place where he used his brains to get out of the mess is Budgar. These three stupas are nearby. And there's a fourth stupa south of these three is Kadhara, where he loses out, he is totally lost. And he, in his irritation, when he cannot regain his power to fly in the skies and to regain his control over his meditation, he swears that in his next life he will become a sinner, and he will become a sinner who will eat birds and animals and other living things. So when he swears that, he calms down, and he regains his strength to fly. That is, folks, Kadhara. So this is your story of your Udra-Ramaputra according to Zhang. Of course, in the other Buddhist texts, I haven't read so much about him. It's just that he taught the Buddha, and the Buddha, when after enlightenment, he first came to meet him, to tell him about his enlightenment, but realized that he had left for his heavenly abode. So folks, check out the written matter, what Zhang has to say about Udra-Ramaputra, and then the satellite pictures, and then you can see photos of the places. Now let's see where Zhang takes us to Uddaka Ramaputra's Sangrama. By the side of this pool is a stupa, before which is built a stone pillar. In this place the Buddha Kashyapa Kishipo long ago sat in meditation, that is Manjholia. By its side are traces where the four past Buddhas sat down and walked. To the east of this spot, crossing the Mahi river, we come to a great forest in which is a stone pillar. This is the place where a heretic entered a condition of ecstasy and made a wicked vow. In old days there was a heretic called Udra-Ramaputtra, U-Teou-lan-tseu. Now, is this the same Udra-Ramaputra who taught the Buddha? Because up here Huen Tsang doesn't mention him teaching the Buddha. So, in mind he soared above the vapory clouds whilst he left his body among the wilds and marshes. Here in this sacred forest, restraining his spirit, he left his traces. Having acquired the 5 supernatural faculties, he reached the highest condition of dhyana, and the king of Magadh greatly respected him. Each day at noon he invited him to his place to eat. Udra-Ramaputra, mounting through space, walking in the air, came and went without hindrance. Okay, now let's see next page. The king of Magadh, expecting the moment of his arrival, kept watching for him, and on his coming respectfully placed for him his seat. The king, being about to go forth on a tour, wished to put this affair in charge of
someone during his absence, but he found no one in his inner palace whom he could select capable of undertaking his commands. But amongst the attendants there was a little pet girl of modest appearance and well mannered, so that in the whole of the palace none of his followers was able to excel her. The king of Magadh summoned his this one and said to her, I am going some distance on a tour of observations, and I desire to put you in charge of an important business. You must on your part give all your mind to do thoroughly as I direct in matter. It relates to the celebrated Rishi Udra-Ramaputra, whom I have for a long time treated with reverence and respect. Now when he comes here at the appointed time to dine, do you pay the same attention that I do. Having left these instructions, the king forthwith gave notice of his absence. The little girl, according to her instructions, waited in expectation as usual. The great Rishi having come, she received him and placed a seat for him. Udra-Ramaputra touched the young girl, young female, felt within him the impure risings of earthly passions of the world, and so he lost his spiritual capabilities. Having finished his meal, he spoke of going, but he was unable to rise in the air. Then, feeling ashamed, he prevaricated and addressing the maiden said, I am able as the result of the discipline I practice to enter samadhi and keep my mind at rest. I can ascend into the air and go without a moment's delay. I have heard long ago, however, that the people of the country desire to see me. In agreement with the rule of the old time, our utmost aim should be to benefit all that lives. How shall I regard only my own benefit and forget to benefit others? I desire therefore on this occasion to go through the gate and walk on the ground to bring happiness and profit to all those who see me going. See, he used his brain here. He couldn't walk in the air, so he tells this girl that I can walk in the air, but today I will walk on the ground because people want to see me, and I shouldn't be, I shouldn't be selfish and keep myself to myself. I should keep myself to the public also. The royal maiden, hearing this, straightway spread the news far and wide. Then the people began with all their hearts to water and sweep the roads, and thousands upon thousands awaited to see him come. Udra-Ramaputra, stepping from the royal palace, proceeded on foot to that religious forest. Then sitting down in silence, he entered samadhi. Then his mind quickly escaping outside was yet limited within the boundaries of the forest, and now as it wandered through the woods, the birds began to scream and flutter about, and as it approached the pond, the fishes began to jump and splash, till at last his feelings being wrought up and his mind becoming confused, he lost his spiritual capabilities. Giving up his attempt at ecstasy, he was filled with anger and resentment. So let's see where these places are. Udra-Ramaputra, okay, here is the satellite picture. Now, folks, this is Baijal Tetariya. Ramaputra is a mispronunciation of Tetariya. See, your Buddhist, and see, this is the pool Huen Tsang mentions. This is the pool Huen Tsang mentions, and this is Tetariya. Tetariya is the person who can walk in the air. Terna, Tetariya, Terna. So, a person who can walk in the air. And this is the place where he gets angry, because even after going into samadhi, he doesn't manage to walk in the air. And this is Udgar. This is where Udra-Ramaputtra or Tetariya, he told that girl that I am going to usually I walk in the air, but today, since I should not keep myself to myself, I should allow myself to be shared by the people. I will walk today so that the people can see me. So this is, he used his brains, that is Budgar. Budgar means brainy. So this is where he walked and showed himself to the people. And this is Baijal Tetariya. Baijal means without a net. Without a net. So this is where Udra-Ramaputra went to eat, and he touched that girl and lost all his spiritual, supernatural powers. That is Baijal Tetariya. Mispronounced as Udra-Ramaputra. So folks, or your Uddaka Ramaputra. But Huen Tsang doesn't mention this gentleman teaching the Buddha. So folks, this is it. Tetariya, Chiraila, this is where he gets angry and vows that in his next life he will become a horrendous monster looking person, and he will eat all living creatures, and then his mind settles and he becomes a normal person again. And this is a place where he uses his brains and he walks walks on the ground instead of walking in the air. And this is the place. Baijal means out of control. Baijal means out of control. Baijal Tetariya, out of control Tetariya. This is where he touched the servant girl. This is where he went for his food. So check out the pictures of. Now let's see what the Buddhist texts have to say about Udra-Ramaputra. See, they call him Uddaka Ramaputra. Uddaka Ramaputra. Now let's check the name. See, Huen Tsang calls him Udra-Ramaputra, but the Buddhist texts call him Uddaka Ramaputra. Now this is Budgar Tetariya. Budgar sounds similar to Udraka. Budgar, Udraka. See, B and here D. U, Gar, Aka. Budgar Tetariya, Uddaka Ramaputra. So folks, this is your Uddaka Ramaputra's, home. Okay, now folks, this is Tetariya. Yeah, Tetariya temple, Uddaka Ramaputra's temple, folks. This is Tetariya temple, Uddaka Ramaputra's temple in Tetariya. Folks, this is a new temple coming up next to Tetariya temple, which is Uddaka Ramaputra's temple in Tetariya. Folks, Uddaka Ramaputra is, as usual, is a mispronunciation of Baijal Tetariya. Baijal Tetariya means the person who was walking on the clouds, who went out of control. He went out of control after touching a maiden. So folks, this is the ancient temple of Uddaka Ramaputra, the Buddha's teacher. See, this place is very important because the Buddha, after gaining enlightenment, first came here. When no one was listening to the Buddha, it was here, the Buddha came here to share his enlightenment with Uddaka Ramaputra. So, Uddaka Ramaputra is your Baijal Tetariya. and it's a mispronunciation of Baijal Tetariya. So you look at the inside of the temple, you just see small golden stupas. This is the real Buddhism which still exists in Bihar. So folks, the Buddha, he had, after leaving Alara Kalama, he came to study under Uddaka Ramaputra. Actually, it is Baijal Tetariya or Uddaka Tetariya. Uddaka means extremely brainy, and Tetariya means a person who can fly in the sky. Because you see what Zhang Zhang says, and I have quoted him. It doesn't tally with what the Buddhist texts say about Udra-Ramaputtra. The Buddhist texts only say that the Buddha came to study under Udra-Ramaputtra, who taught a refined state of meditation known as formless attainments. And the Buddha had, gone further than Udra-Ramaputra, because Udra-Ramaputtra had not reached the level of his own guru, which was the sphere of perception or non-perception which Uddaka failed to reach. And the Buddha had reached it, folks. Now this is Buddha. What happens is, after the Udra-Ramaputra had the power to walk in the clouds, etc. But after touching this servant girl, he loses that power because he feels lust. He loses that power, and however hard he tries, he doesn't have that power to once more walk in the skies, leaving his body. So he finds a very good way out. He uses his brains. That's why it is Budgad. Budgad means brainy. See, this area is Budgad, just north of Tetariya. Now, see, this is a dhaba in Budgad. Budgad, because he tells the girl that, see, I can walk in the clouds, etc. But today I have decided I've been selfish walking in the clouds, and people want to see me, want to meet me. So today I will share myself to the people by walking on the ground amongst them so that they can see me. This girl tells all the people, and the people, they broom the ground, they wash the ground and wait patiently for Uddaka Ramaputra. Actually, it's Uddaka Tetariya. So, and when he goes, they all pay homage to him. So see, he uses his brains that he couldn't walk, and then he couldn't walk on the skies. Okay, he used his brains and he walked on the ground and saved his prestige. And folks, this is Chirail. Chirail is where he got angry. He got angry because however hard he tried to remove all the bad thoughts from his mind. See, this is Chirail school, a school in Chirail, where Uddaka Ramaputra got angry, and he wished that in his next life he became a hideous monster who ate meat and all living beings. So it was at that time that he normalized and regained his power to once more walk in the skies. Now this is the story that Zhang Zhang narrates. So I hope you found this video educative, and I hope you liked this video and found it educative. If you did find it educative, then please don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to my page Buddha Exhumed, and don't forget to tell your friends and relatives about these great Buddhist masters whose temples are still existent and people pray to them. Folks, thank you.